Welcome to Study Loop.
So we're going to look at this chemistry problem, and before I start solving it, I recommend that students pause the video, try it themselves, and come back to see if they got it right or not. That is the true way of knowing if you fully understand this topic. So first we want to figure out what the electrical charge of this particle is, right? So let's look at the way that particle moves between these plates. We can see that when it moves through the plates, and then when it gets close in between, it moves away from the negative plate, right, and closer to the positive plate. So that would suggest that this particle is negative, right? Because like will repel like and opposites attract. So if it is attracted and moves closer to the positive plate, that suggests that it is negative. So we have figured out that this particle is negatively charged. And let's suppose that the charge or the magnitude of the charge of the plates increases, right? So if there's a greater magnitude of charges, then there's going to be a greater electrostatic repulsion or attraction, right? So if the charge is increased, the bending will increase. Because if the charge increases, then the particle will want to move more away, further away from the negative plate and closer to the positive plate if the charge is increased. And another situation that we have to think about is if the mass of this particle increases, so let's say it's 1 gram, but it's a 2 gram particle now. If the mass of the particle increases, but the speed of the particle remains same, because usually if the question said if the mass of the particle increase, what happens? We would always assume that the speed would decrease, but here it states that the particle's mass increases, but the speed also stays the same. So what could happen to the bending of the particle, right? Well, what we have to think about in this case would be momentum. And momentum we know is mass times velocity. So this is staying the same, but this is increasing, right? So the mass is increasing of the particle, so bending will decrease. It will bend less if it's a heavier particle. And I hope that was helpful.